Noon. It's 5 o'clock. We'll call the meeting to order. We do have a quorum, and we'll declare it open. This time, I'm going to invite Mr. Cole Norris from Troop 44. If you'll come forward and lead us in the Pledge of Allegiance. If you'll stand with us, please.
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
If you can read prayer, please. Dear Heavenly Father, we come to you tonight as we begin our city business. We ask that you guide us. Please give us your blessings on the decisions that we are making. May we always keep in mind the needs of our citizens from all over the city, not just one part, not just one group, but that we will remember everyone. Lead, guide, and direct us always, and we thank you for all the many blessings that you have bestowed upon Sherman. In your heavenly name we pray. Amen.
Amen. Thank you, Cole. All right, at this time, I want to invite Assistant Police Chief Jason Jeffcoat and Sheriff Tom Watt to the podiums. At this time, I'm going to hand it over to Councilman Tiemann.
Right. We have a proclamation for Mental Health Awareness Month, and I'll go ahead and read that for you. Mental health is an essential part of overall individual health, and it is vital that every individual, family, and organization in the community understand its importance. And whereas it is essential to eliminate disparities in mental health treatment by promoting well-being for all, regardless of race, ethnicity, gender, language, place of residence, age, or financial ability, and to ensure equity of access and delivery of service and improvements of outcomes. And whereas every individual must have the opportunity for and the access to early and appropriate mental health screening assessments and referral to quality treatment, and whereas it is important to conduct such screening, assessment, and referral in our local criminal justice system, our private and community mental health, substance abuse, and primary care settings. And whereas adults and children with mental illness must have ready access to best treatments, services, and supports leading to recovery, and diverse and quality mental health workforce is essential to these services. And whereas the state of Texas designated Texoma Community Center as the local mental health authority intended to be a vital component and strategic partner to all stakeholders and service providers who make up the local continuum of mental health services in the Texoma region. And whereas the Texoma Health Foundation partners with the Meadows Foundation to support the Meadows Mental Health Policy Institute across the state of Texas. And whereas the Texoma Behavioral Health Leadership Team, formed in 2017, bring together local community stakeholders from many agencies in many areas of education, healthcare, business, government, law enforcement, judiciary, nonprofit management, mental health, nonprofit funding, and family advocacy to collaborate towards much needed local solutions to concerns such as access to care, jail diversion, stigma reduction, and equitable funding. And whereas all of these Texoma area community partners support the implementation of the OK to Say initiative to reduce mental health stigma in North Texas communities and institutions. Now, therefore, I, Sean Tiemann, on behalf of David Plyler, Mayor of the City of Sherman, Texas, by the authority vested in him, do hereby proclaim May Mental Health Awareness Month in the City of Sherman and urge all citizens individually and collectively to take steps to learn about mental health and get involved in the local dialogue and collaboration happening here in the Texoma community around mental health issues, as this is needed in order to affect improved outcomes and attitudes, and let our calls to arms be the improved life of but one is a win for all. All right.
I missed part of the middle of that.
Yeah, let me read that again for you. Yeah, just one more. Tom. Appreciate you, sir. I'd also like to recognize, I've got a list of some folks here I'd like to recognize in the audience and some that may not be here tonight, but this behavioral health leadership team is made up by a large group of local folks, and this is just a small list of those people. But the Veterans Group, Linda Ryan and Sam Rayburn, VA Hospital, Chuck Connor, Texas Veterans Leadership Program, Tom Watt, Joe Brown, Judge Rimnall, Chief of Denison Police, Jay Birch, and Zach Flores, Chief of Sherman Police, Mark Anderson, Brad Douglas, Terrence Steele, Louis Beretta, Tim Millerick, Jeremy McMillan, David Hicks, Henry Scott, Christy Nolan, the Honorable Bill Majors, Mayor Jared Johnson, Mayor Frank Boudra, Mayor David Plyler, Susan Thomas, Amanda Ortez, Jerry Larson, Ron Seal, Tanya Price, David Cortinez, Daniel Thompson, Harry Lemming, Rochelle Govindaswamy, Brenda Hayward, Jay Hearn, Whitney Redden, and Chelsea Gignilliot. There we go. That was a mouthful, so there you have it. Tom, if you guys would like to say a few words.
First? Okay, so my humble apologies for being a little bit late. Sometimes you just got to grab them by the shoulder and say, I got to go, and throw them out. That's pretty much what happened. It's an honor to represent the Texoma Behavioral Health Leadership Team up here. And I do that with Chief Flores. He and I are co-chairs. The main push, though, comes from Ms. Gail Utter. She is our chief facilitator. And I got in here so fast that I'm only assuming that she's back there.
She is.
Thank you so much. Appreciate all your help. The Behavioral Health Leadership Team is gaining momentum. We must start talking about the issues of mental health in Grayson County. The reason that I agreed to co-chair this is because of all of the issues that I have faced through my career, not only as a Sherman officer, but also as a private citizen with family members, and now as a sheriff of Grayson County. We know for a fact that there are about 30% of the people in our jail that don't need to be in our jail. They need to be somewhere else. And at $53 a day per head, everywhere where we can shave taxpayer dollars, that's what we need to do. On the personal level, the access to care for those that don't have insurance is sad. It's just absolutely not acceptable for what goes on in Grayson County. And we're also working on jail diversion efforts, from street level efforts to pretrial type stuff, and that's why we have the DA's office on board. And so there are many, many things going on with the Texoma Behavioral Health Leadership Team, and all of those folks that you read off are key stakeholders, and they're an integral part of making sure that we have success, and Sean is a part of that. And I don't know who you made mad to have them write this long thing the way that they did, but you need to make amends with somebody. That was something else. And so for everybody on the Texoma Behavioral Health Leadership Team, I would like to say thank you for the proclamation, and we appreciate you doing that. Thank you very much. All right.
I'm really not a part of the team, the leadership team. I know the chief asked me to step in for him today, but I know that in just about a year that y'all have had that going, they've made significant strides, and it's been amazing, some of the different changes that we've already seen through the police department. So we look forward to the working relationship, and just can't wait to see what's ahead for the future. So.
Thank you all very much.
Thank you, guys.
All right. So thank you all. When we come together regionally, we get things done. And thank you, Gail, for all your leadership and all the emails and everything. Just it's been a real blessing to watch this come together. All right. Chief, you want to come back up here? Got a proclamation issued for Police Week. I'm proud to be able to read this. All right. Whereas the Congress and the President of the United States have designated the 15th day of May as Peace Officers Memorial Day, and the week in which it falls as Police Week, and whereas there are more than 900,000 law enforcement officers serving in communities across across the United States, including the dedicated members of the Sherman Police Department. Whereas there have been 58,627 assaults against law enforcement officers in 2016, resulting in approximately 16,677 injuries. And whereas since the first reported death in 1791, more than 20,000 law enforcement officers in the United States have made the ultimate sacrifice and have been killed in the line of duty, including Sherman City Marshal Samuel D. Ball on February 2nd, 1880, and Sherman Police Sergeant D.C. Arnold on December 23rd, 1969. And whereas the dedicated members of the Sherman Police Department play an essential role in safeguarding the rights and freedom of the citizens of Sherman. And whereas every day officers of our Sherman Police Department work tirelessly to protect our citizens, enforce our laws, and keep our neighborhoods safe. They report for duty, knowing full well the dangers they face and the sacrifices they may be called upon to make. During this special week, we pay tribute to the thousands of men and women who serve us with extraordinary bravery, and we remember the heroes who have laid down their lives in pursuit of a safer, more just society. And whereas it is important that all citizens know and understand the problems, duties, and responsibilities of their police department, and that members of our department recognize their duty to serve the people by safeguarding life and property, by protecting them against violence and disorder, and by protecting the innocent against deception and the weak against oppression or intimidation. Therefore, I, David Plyler, Mayor of the City of Sherman, Texas, by the authority vested in me, do hereby proclaim May 13th through 19th, 2018 as Police Week in the City of Sherman, and encourage all citizens to observe May 15th, 2018 as Peace Officers Memorial Day in honor of those law enforcement officers who, through their courageous deeds, have made the ultimate sacrifice and service to their community or have become disabled in the performance of duty. Let us also recognize and pay respect to the survivors of our fallen heroes. So with that, I'm going to present you the proclamation. Thank you for your service.
Yes, sir. Thank you.
Would you like to say a few words? Okay.
I just want to take a minute and say thank y'all. The chief and I know that we have the best police officers in the country, no doubt. We have guys that are and women that are braver than you can ever imagine. For y'all to take the time out of your meeting to publicly recognize us, it means a lot to us. And just know that we're here for y'all as well. And I just want to say thank y'all.
All right, at this time, I believe Robbie would like to make a recognition.
Yes, I want to let you guys know that we have hired a new HR and organizational development manager. Leah Campbell is here today. If you'd stand up, Leah. And she's going to give about a 10-minute speech to the, I'm just kidding. Yeah. No, we're glad to have her. She brings many years of HR experience to us. Is from the area and started first official day here was last week, but she was off at a seminar, and so she's in the office today, and we've already started our meeting. So glad to have Leah, and glad to be full staff in HR again.
Great.
Thank you, Leah.
Right. All right, at this time, we'll open public hearing. Linda, if you'll read C1 for us. Hang on a minute. Getting ahead of the game. Let's, did y'all have an opportunity to look at the minutes from the council meeting of April 16th?
Move to approve.
Second.
Okay, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you.
All right. Good.
All right, now, into C1. Linda, if you'll read that for us, please.
Ordinance 6111, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow an event center in a C2 General Commercial District, Central Business District, at 124 North Walnut Street, being lots 8 and 10, Block 3, OTP, Sherman, Vanderveer Group LLC owners, Sean Vanderveer, representative, providing for a repealer clause, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Scott?
Yes, the Planning and Zoning Board voted unanimous to approve this, subject to the staff review letter for this event center in the former Robert Sanford and Taylor building, which is also in the Central Business District and fits well within the community.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Okay. Sean, if you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Sean Vanderveer, 113 North Travis, Suite 300, Sherman. We just want to use about 10,500 square feet, which is roughly 40% of the building for this event venue. And we think it's something that'll be good for downtown. That's
Okay.
it.
All right. Thank you, Sean. Anyone else? Okay, no? All right. Linda, if you'll read C2 for us.
Ordinance 6112, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 8, subsection 5A, ordinance number 2280, so as to grant a specific use permit to allow a resale shop in a C1 retail business district at 220 North Sunset Boulevard, Suite A, being Lot 1, Block 1, and part of Block 2 of the second replat of part of Block 2 of the replat of Westwood Village subdivision. Westwood Village Retail LLC owners, Lucinda Hollis, Hollis Unlimited Tenant Representative, and Helvey Wagner Surveying, Surveyor. Providing for a repealer clause, providing that this specific use permit shall be granted subject to certain conditions, providing a penalty not to exceed $2,000, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Scott?
Again, the Planning and Zoning Board voted unanimous to approve this specific use permit for a resale shop. They're actually just moving a few doors down in the same shopping center there at Westwood.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening?
Lucinda Hollis, 220 Sunset Boulevard, Suite C12 in Sherman.
Okay.
And we are just needing more space, so we're just wanting to move to a bigger retail space.
Okay. All right, thank you. All right, anyone else? Okay. Linda, if you'll read C3 for us.
Ordinance 6113, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R2 multifamily residential district at 1305 South FM 1417 Heritage Parkway, Tract 1 being 0.011 acres in the Elizabeth Jones Survey, abstract number 625, and Tract 2 being 0.070 acres in the Elizabeth Jones Survey, abstract number 625. 1305 South FM 1417 LP owners, Joe Gilbert Representative, and Preston Trail Land Surveying Surveyor. Providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda. Scott?
The Planning and Zoning Board voted unanimous to approve this request, subject to the staff review letter for multifamily zoning. This is a very thin edge on the existing multifamily tract. The site plan has already been approved.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone to address this item this evening? Okay. Linda, if you'll read C4 for us.
Ordinance 6114, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R2 multifamily residential district in the 2600 to 2700 blocks of South US Highway 75, being 48.617 acres in the Preston Kitchen Survey, abstract number 667, and the Elizabeth Jones Survey, abstract number 625. SSC GC Holdings LLC owners and Underwood Drafting and Surveying Surveyor, providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay.
The Planning and Zoning Board voted unanimous to approve this request for multifamily zoning. This is at the southwest portion of the Stone Creek Golf Course. Complies with master plan.
All right. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? Oh. Okay. Linda, C5?
Ordinance 6115, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R1 one-family residential district at 2932 Preston Club Drive, being Lot 21, Block 1, Preston Club, the Classics subdivision. Rossi Realty LLC owners, Josh Knight, general contractor, and CBG Surveying Incorporated surveyor, providing for a repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
This item, as well as the next four, is land that was annexed into the city at the Preston Club Golf Course area. They were annexed RA according to city ordinance, agriculture, and this request is to change them to R1 so they conform with the plats that are in place. P&Z voted unanimous, subject to the staff review letter to approve this, and it complies with the master plan.
Okay. Thank you, Scott. Is there anyone here to address this item this evening? No? Brandon, can we take the next three together?
Or four.
The next four, will have the same explanation, but since they're ordinances in this public hearing, they need to be read into.
Okay. Very good.
Read them all, she can fire them all off.
But
Okay.
we can read them all four together, though, correct?
Yes.
With one vote.
Okay.
Ordinance 6116, C6, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R1 one-family residential district at 3218 Preston Club Drive, being Lot 13R, Block 11, Preston Club, The Legends, Phase 1. Replat lots 11, 12, and 13, Block 11, Rossi Realty LLC owners, Josh Knight, general contractor, and CBG Surveying Incorporated surveyor. Providing for repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law. Ordinance 6117, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R1 one-family residential district at 3315 Preston Club Drive, being Lot 12, Preston Club, The Legends, Phase 3. Rossi Realty LLC owners, Josh Knight, general contractor, and CBG Surveying Incorporated surveyor. Providing for repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law. Ordinance 6118, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R1 one-family residential district at 3323 Preston Club Drive, being Lot 10, Preston Club, The Legends, Phase 3. Rossi Realty LLC owners, Josh Knight, general contractor, and CBG Surveying Incorporated surveyor. Providing for repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law. Ordinance 6119, an ordinance of the City Council of the City of Sherman amending Section 12, ordinance number 2280, so as to include certain properties within the R1 one-family residential district at 5010 Buffalo Ridge Trail, being Lot 8, Block 1, Preston Club, The Classics, Phase 2. Rossi Realty LLC owners, Josh Knight, general contractor, and CBG Surveying Incorporated surveyor. Providing for repealer, finding that the meeting at which this ordinance is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay. Thank you, Linda.
You're welcome.
That's a mouthful.
Bravo.
Okay, Scott, any additional comments?
Still the same.
Okay. Just wanted to make sure. Is there anyone here to address these items this evening? Okay. This time, we'll close the public hearing and consider the adoption of the ordinances. Consider the adoption of ordinance number 6111, 6112, 6113, 6114, 6115, 6116, 6117, 6118, and 6119. Council, any questions, discussion?
Scott, 6112, won't allow any outdoor displays, storage, those kind of things at the resale.
Yeah, the staff review letter covered that.
Covered that?
Yes.
Okay, thank you.
I'll make a motion that we adopt the ordinances 6111 through 6119.
Second.
There goes the runner.
Okay, motion is second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. All right, we're down to the consent agenda. These items are considered to be routine and will be enacted in one motion without discussion unless a council member or a citizen requests a specific item be discussed and voted on separately. The consent agenda includes items D4, D5, D6, E1, F2, and F3. Would anyone like to separate any of these items for any reason for discussion separately?
Mr. Mayor, I was going to pull the, E1, change order for the painting of by Dr. Hicks. I want to recognize Dr. Hicks in the school district for their gracious ability to paint Bearcats on that. But there's no reason to do that now.
Okay,
I just wanted to make that in public.
it's on the record. Okay,
Very prepared for that one.
all right.
You should have chased him down, made him stay.
All right, anybody have a motion or more comments on the consent agenda?
I move to accept as written.
Second.
Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right. Resolution 6363, Linda, if you'll read that for us.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of a drainage agreement with the Sherman Independent School District, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you. Clint?
This is actually a three-way agreement between Sherman ISD, the City of Sherman, and the Munson Realty Group. This will allow the school to pay a fee in lieu of detaining on site. Their increased flow does flow across the Munson's property, and we're in discussions with that, the owner and that development, and the city will coordinate with the developer to provide a regional detention facility further south.
Okay. Council, any questions? Okay,
Okay. I
Make a
make-
motion, go ahead, make a motion to approve 6363.
Second.
okay. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Linda, if you'll read 6367 for us.
A resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman authorizing execution of a professional services agreement with Vilbig and Associates Incorporated for the engineering design of a 4-lane divided thoroughfare off of the US 75 Service Road south of Heritage Parkway, FM 1417, known as Legacy Boulevard, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and is open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you.
This is a thoroughfare that will run along the south limits of the 23-acre development known as TERS number 7. It will start at 75 and run parallel to 1417. The idea is as future development in that area of town further east continue, that road will serve that development also.
Okay, thank you, Clint. Council, any questions?
So Clint, at this time, when the road is built, it will dead end about where that grove of trees is that correct?
Yeah, about right there.
And then, as we anticipate other development on the other side of the grove of trees, so then it will continue. Later on, we'll have to continue it, correct?
Yeah, correct. Yeah.
Okay, it won't ever connect into 1417? We don't think?
Most
Well-
likely, there will be another thoroughfare that runs north-south that will connect into 1417.
Okay,
Yeah, so there'll be connectivity running north and south there from 1417 to Legacy Boulevard, and maybe more than one ultimately when that entire area is built out. Timing of that, by the way, of course, we've got Mr. Vilbig teed up to kind of do this project, but since we now have Sherman closed on the property, cheers. We'll be moving forward this quickly and kind of in parallel with the rest of the development out there.
Mm-hmm.
So Robbie, this is just the section from 75 over to the
I think that was
creek,
at
but
some point.
Yeah,
about the 1417 towards.
yeah, that'll be done. That'll be done under a separate agreement, and we haven't. That'll be more tied to the development on the east side of the creek. So I suspect by the end of this year that we'll have plans for the timing of that, both the road and what we're going to do with that part of the land. Yeah.
okay, thank you.
Okay. Good
I move to
questions?
accept, Mr. Mayor.
Oh, okay. Motion, do we have a second? Second. All right, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. Linda, if you'll read D3 for us, please.
Resolution 6368, a resolution of the City Council of the City of Sherman awarding a bid to and authorizing execution of an agreement with Dean Electric Incorporated, doing business as Dean Construction, as construction manager at risk, CMAR, for construction of the Pecan Grove West Athletic Complex, finding that the meeting at which this resolution is passed was noticed and it's open to the public as required by law.
Okay, thank you, Linda. Steve?
Right, so this relates to our highly anticipated Pecan Grove West Athletic Complex. We're excited about trying to move forward in that project. We put out for bid for construction manager at risk for that construction project. We had 7 bids on that, and with staff, we reviewed and interviewed related to those bids, and we believe we have identified a good construction manager at risk in Dean Construction. As well as the cost side, they were the top of those that bid as far as cost of construction fees and professional fees. But I think very importantly too, one thing that we appreciate a lot and saw that was very beneficial is their experience. This is not just a park, but a lot of it's going to focus actually on sports fields, which there's experience is very important on that, and getting someone with experience in building sports fields. And Dean Construction, we felt no doubt had the best experience when it came to that, as well as personal experience with Dean Construction. They built also Pecan Grove East and West. So we've worked with them before, feel really good about that. Our experience with them was good. And so we're really excited that really of the 7 that bid, we really felt we have identified the best contractor for the job in every way, cost and everything. With that said, we do have a representative from Dean Construction, Dean Electric, Greg Firebaugh, and also Dennis Sims, our park planner. So if there are any questions or anything you'd like to throw at them, they're here and willing to take questions.
Okay.
Just for public information, approximately when will they, if we approve of this, when will they start building? And when, I know weather and everything, when do you anticipate maybe it being completed?
That's a broader question there. Now, I think summer.
I understand. But
summer is turning dirt.
Okay.
Now, if you'd like Dennis to go into maybe the long term, what that looks like on completion,
No.
we can do that.
It's just, I've been given questions. People keep asking, when are we keep hearing about this thing. So just a ballpark of approximately, so the public knows, are we talking a year and a half, 6 years? Well, I mean, I don't know.
I think we're going to be limited by Mother Nature.
Ballpark.
We need
Yes.
to be completely done with everything so we can grow grass next summer.
Okay,
We have-
excellent.
We've got summertime to
So
grow
by
grass.
next summer, they might be able to use part of it.
Probably at the end of the summer towards the fall.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you.
That's our goal. That's to get there.
All right, thank you.
I'd add to that, this is phase 1. We're looking at phase 2. That's part of the plans also. And part of that would be we're hoping to work with Texoma Health to maybe fund phase 2, which would more go into some of the amenities such as walking trails, splash park, lighting, things of that nature. So that would be phase 2.
That shouldn't be a problem. It's still trying to get the park open at that time, so.
Tell me again, what's the total cost on phase 1?
With the construction cost, we're looking in the ballpark of about $2.5 million. And also, there'll be an additional cost that some of this we're doing in-house and saving some money. There'll be another $1.5 million to $2 million that we're going to do in-house and take that as far as we can, actually having some of our crews do some of the work, such as building the concession bathrooms and doing some of the parking lot work and some of those things we're going to do in-house. So phase 1, talking total construction, you're talking the ballpark of $4 million.
We'll be issuing the bonds to pay for that later this summer as well. We'll probably start in June, but that's about a 60 to 75-day process. So we'll start kind of contemporaneously with the construction. So,
Any other questions?
Thank you.
Thank you.
Thank you.
All right, council, any more questions? Okay, can get a motion on this item?
Make a motion, we approve 6368.
Okay. Motion second, all in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries, thank you. All right, we're down to other business. Nate, if you'll come on up. Linda, if you'll read that for us.
Consider the abatement of substandard structures at the following locations: 525 East Carter Street, G-0763, McNair JB, 70 by 160, Vanessa C. Wynn, estate owner, 1108 East Lamar, Jaron J.P. Addition, replat Fitch, Lot 6 and East 2 of 7, Jamie C. Dunlap and all Pamela G. Dunlap owners.
Thank you, Linda. Nate, good afternoon.
Mr. Mayor, Council, thank you very much. This is kind of a dual purpose. We have the business here in front of us, which is the abatement of these two houses, and then we also wanted to kind of go over some updates as to what we talked about last month as far as staffing changes and kind of trying to supercharge our substandard structure program moving forward. The reason we are voting on these two houses today, anytime we are trying to contact owners of these properties and we are not able to, as is the case in 1108 East Lamar Street, or if we are contacting the owners and we are not able to come to an agreement, which was the case at 525 East Carter, where the woman who owned it actually passed away before any resolution could be established there. So that's why these two houses are on the list today to be voted on. They're both significantly substandard. This is definitely not anything borderline. And in the case of East Lamar, in fact, has become an attractive nuisance for criminal elements as well. So we did want to bring those to you today. We also wanted to introduce you to Chip Matthews. Chip, wanna say hi? Chip is the gentleman that we have ended up hiring based on the conversations that we had internally and brought to council last month in order to try to streamline our code enforcement substandard structure programs and roll that in with our community development block grant. So we had more than 50 people apply for that job. We conducted 4 interviews, and Chip definitely stood out above the rest. He is eminently qualified. He might not have written the book on substandard structures in Texas, but he definitely wrote a few chapters. He has been, for the past 25 years, traveling around the state, setting up substandard structure programs for other cities, and in fact conducting training with staff on how to set those up. So incredibly qualified candidate. We were incredibly fortunate that he applied for this job, and we feel very lucky to have him on board. So he's actually going to be taking over the substandard structure program from here on out. Moses was our substandard structure guy for the past couple of years. He tore down a couple dozen houses over the course of that time, but he's actually moving on to a position in the fire department. So we took that opportunity as an opportunity to kind of reassess how we're doing things, and that led us to bringing on Chip. So Chip will take substandard structures. He will take a portion of the community development block grant, which is paid for significantly out of substandard structures, and then he also will help out on code enforcement as well. So he's kind of our triple threat addition to that department as we look to address those council concerns. So with that, I can handle some high-level questions on either of these properties. Moses can delve deeper, and Chip here, of course, if you guys have any questions for him.
So Robbie, the cost here is anywhere from $5,000 to $9,000, and CDBG money is used in some cases. Does it cover all of that? Do we go back to the owner at any time? I'm hoping that this is going to pick up.
Right.
We're going to be doing more of them, but lien on the property, those kind of things. I mean,
Right.
explain to me why we're paying for that.
So, okay, so there's several questions in there. The first one is, no, that's okay. So I wanted to make sure I answer all of them. We don't partially pay for any one structure out of CDBG. It's either 100% of that structure or not. So we either pay for it out of that bucket of money or out of the general fund bucket that we have set aside that was budgeted. These particular ones are both probably CDBG properties that will be paid 100% out of our community development block grant funds. When we implemented this program a few years ago, we had this discussion about how do we handle, recuperating any of the cost. And the discussion was at that time, hey, let's get some success under our belt. We're using federal dollars to do this in large part. What we have at the end of the project is not only that blight is abated, but we have a lot that in cases already has been sold and redeveloped. So we will clean off the lot, make it buildable, and then the property owner can sell it and have it, put tax dollars back on the rolls. So that was the discussion. We're not On the non-CDBG side, we're not bound by that. We can change the policy if we wanted to put a lien on. What that would do, though, is probably have a negative effect on the property owner's willingness to sign. So right now, we have a willing, for the most part, willing participants. These are two examples of where we didn't get that, but for the most part, we've had willing participants. That makes for a smooth process. Otherwise, the process is longer, and we may or may not get them done. As it relates to, commercial properties, we did talk about if we delve into the commercial property abatement, putting a lien on those properties, so that from a commercial and investment standpoint, that lien would follow with the property until it's sold again. We haven't really. I can only recall one commercial property that we've done. And so we haven't really delved into that aspect of it much, but our goal for now is to continue to have success with the program, leveraging federal dollars, using some local dollars, not putting a lien on it so that we get full cooperation for the most part from property owners, and then we'll evaluate it, down the road. We've had, I don't have the exact number, but I think close to 100 homes now that we have torn down through this property or through this program over the last 4 years. Our goal is, dozens of houses a year. We were able to actually use some FEMA money to purchase and demolish as well some properties on West Houston and Lamar, there by Sunset. So we're actually using multiple sources of money to do this. So this particular case, we're not. These are both federal dollars, but it just depends on where the house is. The way the CDBG program works is it's got to be in a target area. So low to moderate income, by CDBG standards, HUD standards.
So most of the houses we're taking down out of these, let's say out of these 100, they've been willing to do that? I mean, do we
Yes.
ever in a position where because of health and safety and those kind of things, that we can force them to do that?
Right. My recollection is we've had these two and two more?
I think 3 others.
3 others. So maybe certainly less than 10% of the houses. No, are not willing. So 95%-ish, we've been able to get permission to do this. So that's been worthwhile. We've had great success, in my opinion.
Yeah, and I think that is important to point out, is that for every time that we've come to the council, which is now twice, we've literally knocked down dozens of other houses where the people were more than willing to have us come in and do that.
So Nate, this one estate and this other owner, are they both out of state? They're not local?
Well, the one owner we have not been able to contact at all. We've sent certified mail and have not been able to get any response at all. As for the Carter Street, is the estate local?
Yes, well, their mailing address is in Plano now, because I think that's where
The heirs.
her niece
Niece,
lives there now. She's supposedly the new owner of the estate, and they were willing to demolish it. So the reason I'm putting it before the city council, because estates get very complicated. So it's better for us to have that liability protection in case we don't get all the family members to properly sign. So it just kind of protects our butt. But the family, the ones who have come before us, they are willing, and they even came to pick up the paper about 2 months ago.
Good. All right.
So, let's make sure I understand. So, in the case that we have to use city dollars to take down a residential house, so that's a benefit to the property owner. Then the property owner is allowed to then sell that property, a cleaned off property, so to speak, increases the value of that piece of property. Granted, it goes back on the tax rolls, we get it back, but there's no opportunity, there's no recourse from us to try to recoup that money that we've benefited that property owner.
There is, we would be able to put a lien on each property that we take down using city funds, but the property owner, if we use that threat, can tie that house up in almost indefinitely.
I understand that.
So we offer the free takedown of the house to get their cooperation, and you'd be seeing a lot more of these if we were telling them once we take it down we're going to put a lien on it. They probably would not let us take it down.
But yes, the short answer to your question is property owners do benefit. The city does benefit. The program has run much more smoothly because of the willingness of the property owner to sign the release, because they do have the benefit. And it, just part of our cleanup efforts around the city. So,
Robbie, if the title situation for the property isn't clear, if there's potential issues, and we demolish the house, and then we're giving the cleared plot back to who? If the title isn't clear, if there's some question there when there's a house, wouldn't there remain to be a question there when it's just a lot?
You don't want to be the one buying it.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying. Like,
so yeah, I think your question's really getting to do we tear down a house, and what if there's not clear title to it? Have we adversely affected? I think that's why we go through getting the release from the property owner.
Right.
Now, if what I don't know is if I'm just making something up, if the IRS has a lien on the property, do we still go after that property, or do we get, do we do title searches?
Yes, sir, we do a full title search in that regards, and there's only, the only time we will ask questions if there's still a lien from a bank. But most times I'll contact the bank, and the bank sends us a letter approving saying we release the lien, or we let you, in other words, us as partial owners of this property, allow you to demolish this property. In some of those cases where it is a very complicated situation, like in this estate, like in some of the estates, it's true some family members cannot do nothing about it because their hands are tied, but some of them begin to mow it because it's a lot easier, it's just a city lot, or for our people, it's a lot easier to clean. And in other regards, or sometimes the neighbor will step in and help because now it's their backyard, it's a bigger yard of theirs. And in other cases, it goes before it goes to the county for their lax of taxes in a couple of years. Like some of them I've had already, they'll go before the county and they're sold. And so then people start building houses on the property.
I would add to that definitely redevelopment is an end goal of this project, but it is not the end goal, especially with the CDGB funds, because our statutory obligation there is to remove blight. I don't know if we're legally allowed to take into consideration whether or not that property will then be redeveloped, but that's definitely not our focus. Our focus is getting dangerous structures removed.
And Brandon, let me ask you this, because this is kind of a weird one, being an estate. I mean, do we have any kind of liability by taking down a house that we don't fully know all the owners?
In cases where the owner can't be contacted, that's the reason you're hearing it tonight. So this was published in the paper as a hearing, and owners, if they're checking the notices, checking the newspapers, would have the opportunity to see that and show up tonight and protest the abatement. I believe that's the reason that we didn't just move forward with the abatement without the hearing, because we've contacted the owners that we can locate.
And there are other postings that we make. It's not just a notice in the newspaper. We actually have to put something on the premises, this notice. So there's numerous ways, by letter and mail, by face-to-face contact when that's available, posting something on the structure, advertising in the newspaper. So we take all the efforts and more as required by law to try to find the rightful owners.
This step really is our final, it's our last resort. We only come to the council with houses when we have exhausted other opportunities. On each of these cases, it's been over a year and a half that we've been trying to locate somebody who can give us an answer and have been unable to.
Okay.
Mr. Mayor, I move to accept.
Okay.
Second.
Motion and second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries. Thank you. Thank you, Nate. All Right. We're down to citizens' requests.
Chip, did we get all that right?
We do need a workshop.
All right, are there any citizens to address the council this evening? Yes, sir. If you'll state your name and address for the record, please.
Peter Tracy, 705 South Valentine. On this boulevard that you're building that's going to be a dead end, the concern I have, or the question I have, is where that boulevard dead ends, is there going to be a crossover on it? And the reason I ask that is because I live on a dead-end street, and I've talked to the fire chief about the ability to turn emergency vehicles around and city service vehicles being able to turn around, that if there's a crossover at the end of that boulevard, it would at least allow them to go down to the end, hit the other side, and go back out instead of having to stop, back up, back and forth, and get out of there.
Yeah, there will be an intersection designed and built to allow them
Where
to
the
make.
current, where the
Yeah, there'll be
existing
a
dead
T.
end will be.
Allow them to
And
do
then the other one on ordinance 6111, is there going to be a certificate of structural integrity on that shell that's there, the brick-on-brick stack that's up there? And then the other thing is, will the sidewalks around that be ADA compliant, where handicaps will be able to get on it? And then the parking lots that will support that facility, are they going to have adequate lighting to accommodate whoever comes to the facility whenever they have events?
Before they get an occupancy permit, that will happen.
Okay, because I've noticed that there's minimal lighting out there, and the parking lots aren't really conducive for ADA-type people.
Yeah, and those are building code issues. I'll be glad to talk with you tomorrow on that, but the specific use permit is just the use of the building.
Okay, thank you.
Thank you, Mr. Tracy. Is there anyone else? Yeah, come on.
Hello, Whitney Redden, 3001 North Ricketts and 315 West McLean. So I am here with Texoma Community Center, your local mental health authority, which you mentioned in the proclamation. I just like to make sure you guys know why I'm here and all that good stuff. I had a whole row of people, but they went to Denison, who were doing a proclamation as well. But I brought some brochures about all of our services, mental health services, outpatient substance use disorder services, children's services, medical services, counseling for anybody who needs it. We have all of those good things. So I brought some brochures. Sean had asked that I bring some brochures last time I got up and spoke. Sheriff Watt said, you know, we have a lack of access to care when we don't have insurance, which is true. However, Texoma Community Center is the only place that folks without insurance are able to get mental health care. So please be familiar with our services. You have people in your lives who need them. Thank you. Appreciate it.
Thank you.
Thank you.
Okay, anyone else? All right, media questions. Drew, I guess you're it tonight. All right. All right, council, we're down to item I-1, appoint or consider qualifications to boards and commissions. Parks and Rec Advisory Board, 2 spots. The staff recommendation is the appointment of Brantley Blackburn and Shane Martin to the Parks and Rec Board. So I'll welcome any kind of motion or discussion or questions or.
Reappointment, I may have missed that, but wasn't somebody being reappointed?
So there are 2 positions that became vacant. One did not respond to a request on whether he wanted to be reappointed. The other one did respond. And the staff is recommending these 2.
I got you.
Yeah.
Yep, I understand.
Yeah.
Mr. Mayor, I'd make a
I missed
motion
that.
that we appoint 2 based on the staff recommendation.
I'll second it.
Okay, got a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Any opposed? Motion carries.
Mayor, who was the second, please? Thank you.
Got one in. All right, it's time for council comments. Councilman Holland, I'll start with you this evening.
I just want to thank the SEDCO group. I don't know if they're here on a nice event this weekend out Pecan Grove. That was a really nice outing. turnout was really well, considering the weather before that, and they were really trying to make decisions on if that thing was going to work out. Great job, facility looked good, and everything worked out well. Great job.
Yeah, I'll second that. I thought it was a shame we didn't have a city council team in that SEDCO.
Maybe next year.
You know.
Maybe next year.
Next year, yeah. I think we win the tug of war. But,
The cheerleader.
Yeah.
After seeing the two-legged race or four-legged race, whatever that was, I was like, oh boy.
Well, after the limbo, I thought we were done.
Yeah.
You know?
Yeah.
Yeah. But no, that was a pretty neat event. And then, you know, I know most of the folks from the Texoma Behavioral Health Leadership Team have left, but that's a group that I've been working with now for like the last year, and there are a lot of dedicated people there, and one here in the room still. But those guys are tireless workers, and they are all just leading the charge on creating some stigma reduction for mental health. So I just appreciate all the efforts that they're putting in there.
I'll echo that as well, and also the other proclamation for Police Week this week to recognize our officers, our local officers, and those around the country. And once again, as I always do, you know, it's nice to notate that, you know, we've had, I know this wasn't any large development issues, but having about 5 more new residential lots pulled into the development for new construction, as well as granting 3 more of the abatements in that area of town where we're trying to initiate new construction is always good to see.
I want to congratulate our Parks and Rec on finally having a design, we think, for the new skate park, which is going to go into Sherman. Over in the Hahn Park area. There was a meeting the other night that I went to, and this is the second meeting where they allowed the public to come and give their opinions. And boy, do they give their opinions. There's this one little 10-year-old that you just would not believe. He would like to design his own. And he was something, but I appreciate them allowing the public to have a voice in it. And they are very appreciative of the council and Parks and Rec allowing us to have some money for it, you know, in order to do this. And we're very excited, and they should start construction soon.
No comments, Mr. Mayor.
I'd like to thank our police officers for the wonderful job that they do, and to say that a week celebrating them is no small thing, so thank you. I'd also like to recognize our 2 new employees and say welcome aboard, and that's it.
Thank you. All right, we've got just a few announcements. On Thursday, May 10th, our Sherman Main Street program will host its 2nd annual Imagine the Possibilities Tour, featuring numerous historic downtown buildings that are currently available for rent. The tour group will meet at the Old Iron Post at 5 p.m., and the tour beginning at 5:30. So if you're interested in starting a business or just curious to see these buildings, this is a great opportunity. I also want to take the opportunity to thank the folks with the Sherman Police Department, Sherman Fire Rescue, and the city's street department who helped create a safe exchange zone at Central Fire Station on Travis Street. And Pam, thanks to you for bringing this idea forward.
Yeah, I want to thank them. They just make the public aware that we do have a safe zone. There are 2 parking spots that have been painted, and there are signs there where if you are meeting someone, you know, everybody's buying and selling things over the internet now, and if you don't want someone coming to your home or you don't feel safe going to somebody's home, this is a place you can go. Are the cameras installed? Okay, the cameras have been installed. There are security cameras that will overlook this safe zone, and it is in the parking lot of the Central Fire Station and directly across the street from the police station. We couldn't have picked a better spot to put it.
I think the time is wrong on the cameras, though, because it's calling my car pulling in at 7:15.
All right.
About 15 minutes off.
We'll remind your other employees of that.
All right, moving on. And finally, we're only 1 month away from the first concert of Hot Summer Nights 2018. We're opening the season this year with the great 90s rock act, Fuel. And new for this year, we'll also have local bands opening up before the main act takes the stage. Mark your calendars for Thursday, June 7th, and each Thursday after that through July. It's going to be a great summer. And also, we're invited, citizens and council, to the Grayson County Sheriff's Office unveiling of the Grayson County Law Enforcement Memorial on Thursday, May 10th, 2018 at 3 p.m. at the Grayson County Justice Center, 200 South Crockett. So mark your calendars to attend that great event. All right, so we don't have executive session tonight, so.
Motion.
All right.
Second.
Have a motion second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
All right, we are adjourned. Thank you.